Good morning. Welcome back to the shop. I screwed up my fret markers. So I have to make a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and remake this thing. I'm going to spare you the dialogue this time. And I'm just going to get after it. Okay, that was basically my morning. A couple hours lost on that, but now we have the new one with the markers in the right place. This one I'm going to put somewhere to remind myself not to do that again. But in the end, I think I ended up with a better fretboard. Anyways, it was straighter, so it's more uniform. That helped a lot. That was really nice, actually. And then I think it actually looks better when it's polished up, so we shall see. Maybe. I like this one a lot, but you know, it happens. Sometimes you just gotta toss it. I might be able to throw this into veneer of some sort and use it for something else, but it's definitely not fitting of my fretboardiness. I mean, granted, where I messed up is right at, I put a marker at the 14th fret. Everything beyond the 14th fret on this guitar is inaccessible, really. I mean, you can get to probably the 16th, and you're going to have body in your way. I guess you can get up there, but it'd be really tough to get up there. So I'm truly not heartbroken. I'm a little annoyed, but it'll be all right. This one is going to be fine. This is a pretty good fretboard too. I just used up some stock I didn't plan on using up, but it's no big deal. So we're going to let this cure. I might be able to get after it this afternoon and file it smooth and go after possibly putting it on the neck. Maybe. We might be ready for that. So we're going to let this cure and I'll bring you back when it's done. Alright, it's been a while, about an hour, 2 hours or so on some 5-minute epoxy. It should be plenty to work it a little bit. So just got a file, got a vise clamped up, and I'm just going to flush them up. Basically I'm going to get them close to flush, and then because I don't want to have the brass will take longer to, will take more. The brass is harder. It will resist the abrasion most by comparison. So I'll just get it sort of soda flush. That's close. And just get these guys, you know, knock them down. Like that. And just get all of this smoothed out, and then we can take it back to the radiusing and do one more final pass with that and get these file marks, this file mark scratches out. I love working brass. God, it's such a nice material. It behaves so nicely. It's like the wood of metal. It's like that really awesome mahogany that plane's really nice. Brass is like that in the metal world. It's so well behaved and easy to work. This is also my opportunity to make sure I got everything sort of filled properly as I was hoping to, and it looks like I did, so that's good. And I'll just keep that, this doesn't take long at all. I'm going to keep that around as a reminder of what not to do. Kind of waste of time, but not too bad. I mean, in the end, making this new one took 3 hours maybe, so it was worth the time. Any fix I came up with was going to be icky, not preferential. So I had thought of, oh, I'll just drill every one of them and maybe put a rosewood in the plug but the plug, if it was something, different color material. But if I went for something close to the wood, I couldn't think of a way to do it that wouldn't look like a mistake. And if I picked a color that wasn't too close to the wood, like if there was contrast, if there wasn't much contrast, it looked like a really bad mistake and a botched job. But if I put a darker color or something that stood out, then it's like, okay, the gold versus the other, it would have been way too busy, and so in the end I decided, let's make a new one. And that's what we have here. So okay, we're pretty much flush now, most of them. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now we can swing over back to the radiusing jig here and get that final radius. All right. So I just blew the brass shards out of there, the sawdust, the brass dust, and I'm going to chalk it one more time, and we're going to get it perfect here. One last shot. So this should take very little time with 80 grit. This should be very fast. So just going to do a real quick pass like this and see where we end up. Okay, so we still got a little bit in the middle to take care of. That's all right. Flip it. It's basically just center line that we're looking to flush up, so that's good. We'll just keep going. And it shouldn't be too much work. We're really close now. Alright, so now we got some 100 grit. We're going to switch up kind of. Alright, so now we're to 220 with the radiusing block, and I'm out of the radiusing block sticky back stuff. So now we are in hand sanding. I've got my prepping weapons loaded up with a pair of different grits. So I'll do blue is the low grit, yellow is the next highest grit, and we're just going to go after it. I've also got this here stuff called micro mesh, and it's like a clothed back abrasive. It's actually used to polish the windshields of aircraft. It's kind of cool. Micro mesh is really neat. If you've never seen micro mesh, get you some. It's pretty neat. So we're just going to polish all the way up. So it goes, I've got 320, 400 here, and then I don't have 600, so I can't go to that, but it's okay. 420, 400 and 1500. So the micro mesh starts at 1500 grit, but it's coarser than like wet dry. Like the grits are all goofy anyway, so you can never really pay attention to the grits across different systems. So we're going to do that. So it's 1500 grit, and it goes, there are a bunch of them that goes all the way up to 12,000. This thing is going to get, that polish I showed you earlier, do I still have it here? That little tiny sample, this here. You see how, there, did you see it? That. This is just 12,000 grit sandpaper, micro mesh. And that's where we're going. We're headed there. The other side of this, see, I can't get this side to get shiny because, there you go, there's a good example. Because this is 2,000 grit wet dry. So it's not quite polished, but we're going to get this thing nice and shiny. I think it's going to look and feel awesome to play. So I think I'm going to spare you the yabber and just go after it, and it'll be boring, but hopefully I can get, I'm going to bring the camera in and get a good shot so you can see the progression of glossiness happen. We'll see if I can get a time lapse of that. All right, here we go. Alright, so I had to go handheld for this because it's too darn pretty and too glossy to ignore. That's just 12,000 grit. No finish, just the natural oils in it. This is a pretty good shot here. Sort of see all the reflecting going on there. Pretty nice. So that came out pretty good, I think. Alright, well, I'm very pleased with it. You saw a quick little moving shot, but do you see, oh, look at that, it's all bright and shiny. So I was just thinking about it, because flat on, straight on, looking at it, it's not, the brass does not stand out much. Like, if you're just looking straight at it, you can't even see there's brass there unless it hits the light, right? Like, that brass is pretty subtle. But, as a guitar player, if I look down at it while I'm holding it like this, like I'm sighting down here, it's very obvious to me. Even if it's in dim, yeah, it's pretty easy to see. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So one of the things that I did that might be a little weird is I polished it before I put any size or shape. I put it before I even put it on the neck. I polished it. I did that because the polishing tends to round over edges quite a bit, and right now it's oversized. And so I did it while it was oversized so that when it rounded those edges over, it rounded over edges into the waist area. Now the hope is that when I go to trim it and clean it, flush things up to final size, it will not tear out and it will look good and I won't mess up the polish, but we'll see about that. So that's it for this. I think it's probably very close to being ready to go on the guitar, or on the neck at least. Oh, there's so much chatoyance in it too. Oh, I'm liking this neck. This fretboard's nice. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let's see if I can get a view here. Can you see it changing the grain structure? Is just absolutely crazy. Looks really nice. So I am very happy with that. Let's see if I can make it do it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Looks good. I'm happy. So this is done. I got me a fretboard despite my mistake earlier. That one is going to stick around and be an example to all other mistakes down the road. But yeah, I'm very pleased with that. We'll get to the next steps in a bit. Alright, welcome back to the shop. It's time to, I think I'm finally ready. It took a while. I've been waiting for purfling to show up from eBay, and I got that in recently. I got some nice herringbone that's pretty cool looking too. It's kind of neat. So I might use that. Definitely going to use some of the black and white stuff, strips, but I think it's time to take and get the sound hole and rosette into the top. So we're going to pull the top down out of the storing location here, and I think it's time we get this guy chosen. Its front and back, choosing the, well, it's definitely going to be this side. The grain matches better. This side has a distinct darker line. I don't like it. It's got some pretty cool figure in it though. It's got it on this side too though, so it's going to be fine. So just figure out where in this blank I want to put my center line on the glue joint, and it's just a matter of moving up and down and deciding just where. There's a lot of blue up here, so I'm probably going to try to avoid some of that. There's a spot of blue here, but the fretboard will cover it, so that's alright. I'm just looking around for the most advantageous coloring and figuring and making sure I'm roughly in the centered spot. I'm also working around these two little bits of knot. I could put this down this way some. I'm really tempted to try doing a mild burst on the top. So I'm kind of also watching out for where that would end up being and possibly covering any, if at all, covering anything. Doesn't look like there'll be anything there. I'm also looking right in here because there's not going to be much but a bridge. I should actually draw where the bridge is going to go on this at some point so I can use that in my deciding. Feel like if we go too far this way, it's actually not bad to go this way. What I introduce is this dark line here, but there's going to be some of that anyway. Gets me a little bit away from this dark stuff, and it puts some of this, there's a little bit of blue in here that's kind of bugging me. Not very much. To say it's bugging me is kind of an overstatement. It doesn't bug me that much, but it is there, and if I can avoid it, I'd like to try to. It's start getting into this knot area, this blue gets introduced. I think I'd like to avoid that blue as well. So we come back to here, somewhere in maybe around there. I think I might like it there. Okay, so I'm gonna call that probably my spot, and I'm gonna get it marked so that I can rough cut it. Alright, so I've just clamped the pattern right where I want it. I'm making sure that the center lines of the pattern are along that glue joint. And I just took a washer. This pattern is the inside dimensions of the guitar. It's smaller by the thickness of the sides. So I'm just going to take a washer which has like a 3/16 inch wall. So that puts me back out to the outer edge of the body so that this can be cut a little oversized. So I'm just going to run along with the washer as my spacer. And I'll just stop when I get to that point. We'll come back over here, do the same this way, and I'll just have to fill in that one little spot right there where the clamp is in my way. Very easy to do. I just didn't want the pattern moving on me while I was trying to mark this. There. So now, I'm also, before it moves, going to mark where my center hole is for the sound hole. Just make sure we stay right where we need to be. And then I'm going to go get, actually I have a punch right here I can use just to pop a little bit of a hole for pilot. And that is where our soundboard will go. Or that's where our front is. Our top of our guitar. So the next thing I want to do is get it onto this workboard that I've got, which is also undersized. Will be okay. I need to drill a hole 1/4 inch to fit this dowel. So I'm going to grab the drill and do that real fast. Okay. Just really smoothly. Kind of want to make sure this hole is really smooth because my circle cutting jig will ride in it. There we go. And that takes care of that portion of things. I want to make sure I don't get things too messed up here. Okay, so now with a hole, this little guy should be able to sit here, just like putting a record on a record player, if any of you remember how that works. Some of you might be younger than that. We'll see. Not sure. So there's that. Okay. Now I'm going to put a little bit, just a smidgen of double stick tape on this. I'm going to use the double stick tape to keep the spruce in place so that it doesn't like swing around on me or anything. Don't want it to shift too much. Okay, now go find the dowel and just line this guy up right where I need it to go, right there. And I'll bring it this way. Yep, that's perfect enough. Okay, now I have it stuck down. I'm going to pop this out, pop the dowel out for a second, and we can bring over ye oldie wowda. And I know that the bit is not too deep right now. We'll just stick the pin in that hole and we can use that. Yeah, that'll work. So I needed it on the soundboard because the panel is thinner than the pin that sticks out. So I needed to raise it up no matter what. Okay, we are now set up that I think we can route this as soon as I figure out how big to route it and all that stuff. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of I'm going to inch up on things, I think, process. I'm going to switch out the bit for an 1/8 inch bit so that I can sneak up on the dimensions better. And I'll bring you back here in a second. Alright, so in the spirit of test on scrap before you use your real good stuff. We got a we have a scrap bit of MDF with a 1/4-inch hole in it. I think I've got my cutter set, or my diameter set to something that will not be bigger or smaller than the rosette's inner or outer diameter. It's in between the inner and outer diameters. And I'm just going to make a quick cut. I'm pretty sure I've got a depth that's going to be pretty shallow, probably too shallow, which is fine. And I'm just going to go after cutting a quick little slot here and then see how things turn out, because at this point we're just dialing stuff in. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on that. So we'll do a quick little test cut here real fast. Okay, that test was pretty successful. The diameter is right in between the ID and the OD of this thing, so I'm definitely in the middle. I'm closer to the ID than I am the OD, I think, but that's okay. I want to check the depth on that just to make sure that I go just shallow of the full depth, because I want to use that as I want to plane it smaller. I want to flush this to the top surface, not bring the top surface down to it. So we're just going to real quickly get a glimpse at what our depth is here. Looking at 27 thou. This thing's a little thinner than that, I believe. 30 thou. 29 thou. It's a little thicker. 35 in a couple of spots. So 27 I can live with. I'm thinking that I may leave it as it is, and we're gonna go for it for real on the good stuff. All right, here we go for real. So I haven't changed any settings. The depth is the same, the diameter is the same. I'm just going to cut this one first, and then I'm going to shrink the diameter and sneak up on the ID until ye olde Rosette falls in. It's going to take a few passes, so this is going to just be kind of boring footage, I think, for a little while while I sort out the falling into the gap that I'm cutting here. So I think we're just going to go for it. Whatever happens. If I F up, I will fix it. We will deal with it. All right. Okay, so we've got ourselves a slot. Hopefully it's the right size. So first thing I did was I got the center to fall in nicely, and then I added 40 thou per side, so another 40 thou radius to cover to allow for some purfling to go in between. And then I started inching out to the outer edge till I got really close, and then I added the same to try to make some room for purfling on the outside edge. And I've got it, I think, pretty close. I'm hopeful that it'll work. And then I went over and did a quick test before I forgot to film it. I should have filmed it, but I'm bending with the hot pipe the purfling to the radius, so it'll be a little less fighting to get it into position to glue up, because the last thing I want to do is be fighting two sticks of purfling that want to be straight and a rosette that's a little thinner than the purfling, and just a bunch of I don't want to have that much mess, much work on my hands. And so what I've done so far, and this is done reasonably well, is I've bent the purfling to the outer diameter with the hot pipe. I'll move over and do I got to do one more bit of purfling for the inner diameter. So I'm going to clip this real fast and call it lengthwise done. Okay. So this one will go in here, and it doesn't have to join because the fretboard will cover it up. So I just need to have it end in an advantageous spot. And I may take this over and do a couple little more tweaks to the bend just to help it self-align without too much trouble. So that's one shot. We're going to do the inner diameter next. I don't think there's enough here. There is enough, but I got a couple of splits in the grain already, and I don't think I want to. No, there. That answers that. I don't think I want to fight it. I'm going to grab another stick of purfling. I'm gonna catch it here. There's a little bit of an open spot right there that I would prefer not to fight. So we're going to take this one back over. Whew. We're going to take this one back over and do the inner diameter as well. Alright, so I've got a little bit of heat on this pipe, and I'm just taking a block, which is actually just a brush handle, and using it as kind of a heat backer and to sort of support. I want to make sure I'm going the right direction here. I'm not. We're going to go black inside this time. So we'll just support our piece. I'm supporting the outer fibers so that they don't try to split out best I can. And you really can. This bending stuff is really cool. Like, you can totally feel. I wonder if I can get it to drop. It's hard to describe it. You can absolutely feel the yielding. It's absolutely amazing to me how obvious it is when it's warm enough to bend. Just try to get as much. This one's the inner diameter one, so I want it tight. I want it to be smaller than the slot it's got to go in, because then it'll sort of spring outward for me, and I think that's going to be useful. So I'm going for a diameter that is smaller than what I really need, and it'll be sprung outward for me. So this just takes a little while. Not too bad. I've probably got enough heat for now. Just kind of try to keep it tight enough to not have to worry too much. Also have to be careful sort of laterally, because you don't want to build in too much of a twist, because then you'll be fighting that when the glue goes in. Oh, did I snap? Yep, I snapped. I have to start that one over. Damn it. Got a little too rambunctious there. Try that again here. I'm done with the heat for the moment. It's got plenty in it for the moment. There we go. I lost my feel for it. I thought I had a hold of it, but I didn't, and that's what made it snap. I got too aggressive. Gotta get wrapped around here a little tighter. There we go. That's better. I probably could have worked with that bit that snapped, but I just don't want to be fighting too much, because this is going to be a tough enough glue up as it is, but I just don't want to be in a position where I have to wrestle with unwilling pieces as much as possible. And this diameter is going to be a little, let's get a little more heat on you here. This diameter is going to be kind of snug, and if it doesn't work out this gently, I'll I'll work out another solution, but I think this is going to be fine. Okay, might need a tiny bit more heat now. Keep it warming. Just basically get it, really close to the shape I want. This stuff is so pliable anyways. You can do this without pre-bending almost all the time with this stuff because it's so thin, but the pre-bending saves you some fight because it does want to stay straight, so you end up having to hold it in a way, and on a rosette there's no real way to like tape it where I want it, at least not that I know of. Just keep curly cueing, and I'm going to go a lot more than I need on purpose because I just saw that it got a buckle right down here and I don't want to have to fight with the buckle. Try to get some of that twist. I got a bit of a corkscrew happening here. Yeah, we're getting plenty of heat again here. Don't need that much. I'm just going to keep wrapping because I know there's enough, but I want to make sure I have blemish free enough. So I'm just going to keep coiling it up here a bit. If I were doing this right, I think I'd start in the middle somewhere, work my way to the end so that these two pieces are allowed to shift and slide over one another a little more, but this is how I've done it, so it'll do okay. I'm just going to keep coiling, so I'm going to get a nice collection of tight enough diameters, and then I can clip off any misses or problems or anything like that. Should have been able to do this very thing with one stick and got both pieces out of it, but okay, I'm going to call that coiled enough. We're going to go see how well it fits in our rosette slot now. Alright, real quick, I went to check it and I just noticed this problem here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but if you can see right here, there's a buckle right there. That buckle is a problem. So I could fight with it and get it flattened out, but I'm just going to go ahead and I've got enough length on here. I'm just going to coil up a little more and use a different end of the stick. And I'm just going to keep on curling it. Just try to work in. It's hot, don't burn yourself. And just try to work in a tight enough radius to have enough left to make it spring nice. Yeah, we're going to be fine here. Gets plenty tight, I should say, is what I'm trying to communicate. Okay. I think are we past it yet? No, not quite. Almost there. Just gently work these tight enough. Try to tighten that a little bit here. I think it's okay. Just make sure we get past the buckle. got a bit of a spiral happening, but I don't have to fight that too hard. It's not too tough to fight. I'm just going to keep on with this until it won't. Ooh, there we go. I think we're good now. I think that's going to be our stop. I feel like I might have, yeah, I got a little bit of a crack in that. But I think it's ahead of or after where I plan to cut anyway. So just make sure I've got a good final bend on you. That'll work. I think we can use that. Alright, so there's that piece. There's the buckle. And there's our extra that we did. I'm going to grab a bit of snips here. And we're going to play around with this just a tiny bit. The curve on that end's about there. And that buckle hits about there. Which should leave us enough. Definitely enough. See, it's not quite sprung as tightly as I'd hoped, though. So I might go over and try to tighten up some of this a little bit. Just so I'm not fighting this as much. But yeah, so that's really decent, actually. More than enough. I'm going to actually get rid of a little bit of it so I have less to fight with. And because this is all going to be under the fretboard anyways. It should be no problem. Yeah, that'll work. I think I'd just like to get that radius just a tiny bit tighter. So I'm going to run over real quick and do that on the hot pipe. I'll bring you back when I'm ready to start gluing this stuff in. Okay, so we've got it tighter than it needs to be, which is good. So it'll spring. Just fish it around here. Just to see if it'll hold there. Oh, it did a second here. It wants to a little bit. There we go. There we go. And then we can try to slip this little bugger in behind it. I need a thing to hang on to that a little better. Need something to get a hold of it nicer. There we go. Okay. Oop, that fell out though. Gotta keep it in that little slot area there. Okay. So it's got just enough there. I think we're gonna be too tight for the big radius. I don't know that it's going to fit quite exactly. Yeah, it's not quite gonna go in. I need to make this slot just a teensy bit bigger. Or come in from go at it from the other way maybe, see if I can come at it from this way. This one's got this one has a lot of corkscrew to it, but I'm wondering if I can orient it a certain way that will make it stay put. Okay. Can I get you to stay there? I think I can. Well enough to put this guy in. Yeah, I think we're going to be too small. I think our outer diameter is too small for this need here. Yeah, it's not going there. It's not going to go there without wreckage. It's just too tight. Okay, so we're going to add a few thou to the outer diameter. I think our inner is good. I managed to get the inner to go. We're just going to add a few thou to the outer diameter, rather to have too much wood in the way than not enough. So I'm going to pull you back and reset just a little bit. Alright, so we've set it a little bit wider. I'm just going to go for it here. Okay, I think we're close enough, but I did have a snap happen right there. So my hope is that the snap occurred in a relatively advantageous location. It didn't really. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping, well, maybe, let's see. What I'm looking for is the one I've got one that's got really good, it's kinked over. It's very much the wrong angle. Try to find the one that isn't so bad. Oh, well, we got 2 cracks. Well then, I think we're going to have to put this in pieces. Dang. I'm overstressing this harshly because I'm getting a little bit annoyed. So I need to just calm down a little bit. This isn't disastrous though. That actually might be helpful in getting this thing in. What I want to do is I'd like to orient the rosette such that it's not so. This one's cockeyed and it's bugging me, so I was hoping to eliminate it. But since that one just cracked open, going this route and then having that one in place, that might be okay. Yeah, that actually might be fine. Okay, so now I can see how well the rest of this goes in. I'm going to actually pop this one off because I don't want to have to force the thing together. I really wish that one would have stayed. I might just glue it, but what I'm after is giving there some room for compressing a little bit. Okay, that can go in there. Come on now. That can go like that. There's some room now. Really shove that in there. And then this one can go where it belongs, and it should just be a simple slide fit like so. Okay. Now the question is, can I get the skinny stuff down in there now too? The small diameter stuff. That is our next challenge. This is my dry fit basically. Well, that side's in. Ooh, let's get that there. And that side appears to be in. Alright, that'll work. Just make sure this thing's kind of coincident with the glue line there, and the rest of this should work out okay. I'm actually fine with that. Fine. That'll be just fine. I can deal just fine with this. Now, the one thing I want to make sure I have is really good glue surface on the main rosette part, because it has the potential to be sticking up, and I don't want to sand through it when it's time to flush things down here. Okay, so that little gap helped a ton. I think we have a little bit of room, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think the glue will swell and fill those areas just fine. I'm pleased. I am very pleased. I think I can absolutely live with what I see here. Now the fretboard will cover all of this. Yeah, I'm going to glue this in now. I don't want to deal with cutting the sound hole yet until I've got this flat and flush, and in case I have to make any corrections, I still have some wood left and I can still do that. And I still have my center hole left and I can still do this. I think we're ready to glue this bugger in. Yeah, alright, I'm going to get the glue and the brush and we'll go for it. Okay, here we go. I'm ready, I think. I hope I'm ready. So, ready to glue. Time it comes. Let's see, yeah, we got glue. Here it goes. Oh, yep, time, do it. Don't chicken out now. Oh, that's a lot of glue. If I can spread spread a lot of that around, because that's a lot of glue. A large amount of glue, but it's alright. This is a bit thick, so I've got room to take it down. I just don't want to have to take too much down. Okay. I'm going to probably scrape it flush. So I want to make sure I get a bunch down in those corners, because I want squeeze out down there. Okay. Brush is full of glue now. That's good. Plenty in the corners, I'm hoping. What a mess I'm gonna be making. Try to get all these brush hairs out of there too, because that will affect things. Probably not in a good way. Alright. No turning back now, boys and girls. Let's go large first. I'm gonna make a mess out of myself here. Just get some of that capillary action to help hold some of this. Go for it. Get on in there. Get on in there. Almost enough capillary action there. Just about. Okay, so now I'm going to drop in a bit more glue up against those so that the rosette hits it nicely. We're going to need a little bit more glue here. I don't actually care how messy this is, because it's all going to get scraped flush. Okay, rosette will have something to push against. I'm going to get a little bit more here on the bottom. It's probably enough to spread around. It is. Okay. Now we can slip the rosette pieces in. Try to get this aligned right from the get. Oop, not like that. From the get-go. Get in there. Get all up in there. Good. Okay, my hands are going to get completely covered in glue. I want to get a little bit of glue up on the edge of that one. That was a lot of glue, but that'll be alright, I guess. I'm going to start sticking some down into the small slot here. Okay. Now this little guy can be sliding into place now. Good. Alright, only thing left is the small bit. Fingers crossed this works. I can't cross my fingers right now, they're a little busy, but you guys can cross your fingers that this works. How about that? Oh, keep it together. No failings, please. No failings. Feels like it's going in all right, though. It did. I'll be damned. It is in there. It isn't going any dang where, which is awesome. Make sure that piece is in there. Oh, we got to make our shift that so that it aligns. I want to make sure that looks perfect. I'd rather have that and gaps than no gaps and that be off, because that will drive me up a wall. Alright. Okay. I am just going to slip these on there. I'm not that concerned. Even if they do glue down, I've got some thickness I can work with. It's more important that this seat perfectly than anything else. So I'd rather work hard to achieve that particular success. There we go. Okay, then we're gonna, got some stuff stuck to me already. Then I'm gonna set this down all on it, and now we grab our weights. Got a few in the middle right off the bat. In fact, most of them can go in the middle. Save that one for the end because it's odd thickness. It's going to be about 7 or 8 pounds of lead here. Well, maybe more. I don't know how many of these are. Anybody know what these little pucks weigh? I've never weighed them. Guess I could, but I haven't been curious enough. I'll stick with the ones I want to stack one on top of the other first. And a few more. I imagine there's 10 or so pounds here. At least, maybe. Don't know. But there we go. All right, I'm going to leave that sit and keep my fingers crossed and hope that it's a success. We'll find out in the morning.